What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Let's dive into our first news. Umar Nurmagomedov has made it clear that he's ready to fight again and doesn't want to sit on the sidelines waiting for a title shot. Speaking after recent events, Umar said that if he's not getting the next bantamweight title opportunity, he's more than willing to face Ayman Zahabi or Davison Figueiredo next. He expressed frustration about being inactive and emphasized that he just wants to compete. Umar stated, "If I'm not fighting for the title, then please give me a fight. Send me location. Send me opponent name." His message was simple and direct, showing his hunger to stay active and continue proving himself. He mentioned both Zahabi and Figueiredo as potential opponents, acknowledging that they're experienced fighters who would make exciting matchups for the fans. Currently riding a 7-fight win streak, Umar has continued to impress with his dominant performances inside the octagon. His mix of precise striking, elite grappling, and relentless pace has made him one of the most dangerous contenders in the division. Many fans believe he deserves a title shot already, but Umar's willingness to fight anyone in the top ranks shows his warrior mentality. He closed his comments by saying he's ready whenever the UFC calls, whether it's Ayman Zahabi, Davison Figueiredo, or another top contender. Umar Nurmagomedov is eager to step back into the cage and remind everyone why he's one of the most feared bantamweights in the world. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to help support the channel. Moving on to another news, Sean O'Malley came forward to defend Tom Aspinall after the controversial situation at UFC 321. He explained that people criticizing Tom for not continuing the fight simply don't understand what really happened inside that cage. Sean said it's hard enough to stand across from a man with that kind of skill level and fight him at full health, let alone after suffering a serious eye injury. Getting poked in the eye is completely different from taking a regular punch, he said. When you get hit with a legal shot and your eye swells up, that's part of the fight, and a guy like Tom would always fight through that. But when you're poked in the eye illegally, that changes everything. Sean pointed out that Tom's orbital bone was broken. His eye swelled up instantly and he couldn't see. That's not a situation you can just power through. It's an illegal strike, even if accidental, and it immediately affects your ability to fight. He emphasized that he truly believes it wasn't intentional from Ciryl Gane. According to Sean, Ciryl was getting the better of Tom at that point, but there's no doubt it was just an accident, not something done on purpose. He made it clear that questioning Tom's toughness is absolutely insane. No one wanted that fight more than Tom himself. He trained hard, prepared with everything he had, and was ready to go to war. Sean reminded everyone that Tom Aspinall isn't the type of fighter to quit or look for a way out. He wanted that fight more than anyone watching it. The situation was unfortunate and frustrating, but it was the right call for safety. Sean's words showed deep respect for Tom's warrior spirit and reminded fans that even elite fighters are still human when moments like these happen. Moving on to another news. Dana White is facing major backlash following UFC 321 and his post-fight comments about Tom Aspinall. After the main event between Ciryl Gane and Tom ended in a no contest due to accidental eye pokes, many in the MMA community were already frustrated. Fans had been expecting an explosive showdown, but instead the fight came to an abrupt and disappointing stop. What fueled the controversy even more were Dana's comments at the post-fight press conference, where he seemed to imply that Tom didn't want to continue, rather than acknowledging that he physically couldn't because of the double eye pokes. Ariel Helwani quickly took to social media to call out Dana for his remarks. On X, he wrote, "Predictable. Tom says he wouldn't fight. His dad says he wants him to box. Equals Tom didn't want to continue in the fight. Wild way of framing such a deep double eye poke." Ariel's comments resonated with a large portion of the MMA community who felt that Dana's tone came off as dismissive and unfair toward Tom. The fight's ending was already unfortunate, but Dana's framing made it even more controversial. Many fans and analysts echoed Ariel's sentiments, arguing that Dana has never been particularly supportive of Tom. They pointed out past instances, including Tom's comments about vacating the title to allow a friend to compete, and his father's public remarks about boxing, which might have rubbed Dana the wrong way. Some believe those moments strained their relationship further. Adding to the frustration was the fact that UFC 321's main event, a major pay-per-view, ended in the first round in such an anticlimactic fashion. Viewers felt robbed, and many blamed poor handling of the situation on the promotion. People online started voicing strong opinions, suggesting that Dana's treatment of Tom has been unfair for years. One fan wrote, "You can tell Dana hasn't been a fan of Tom from the start. Tom's honesty and authenticity in interviews make him easy to like, but it doesn't help him with Dana. Maybe he should stay quiet for a while, build mystique, and come back strong in a rematch." Others agreed, saying Tom might need to make a huge statement in their rematch to regain his standing, not just with fans, but possibly with Dana himself. Criticism of Dana's management style poured in, with some calling him overly emotional and biased. Comments like, "Dana's been treating Tom badly for 2 years, running a circus around John Jones while ignoring Tom," and "Classic Dana throwing his fighters under the bus," flooded social media. Fans accused Dana of favoring John Jones and protecting his legacy, while undermining fighters like Tom, who are just trying to build their own. Moving on to another news. Daniel Cormier Cormier believes that Ciryl Gane would have been the toughest opponent of Tom Aspinall's entire career if the unfortunate eye poke hadn't happened at UFC 321. Speaking after the event, Cormier shared his thoughts on what he saw before the fight was stopped, and gave credit to both heavyweights for showing such high-level skill. He said Ciryl fought the way everyone expected him to fight against Jon Jones, defending takedowns with confidence, staying composed under pressure and landing sharp, clean strikes throughout the first round. Cormier pointed out that Tom was also having his moments. He wasn't backing down and was landing shots of his own. What really stood out to Daniel was how happy Tom seemed to be in there, even with blood running down his face. He said Tom was smiling, clearly enjoying the challenge of being in the octagon with someone who could truly test him. Cormier explained that this was exactly the kind of fight that would have pushed Tom to new levels, calling it the toughest test of his career without hesitation. He described seeing Tom's nose bloodied from Cyryl's stiff jabs that kept finding their mark again and again in the first round. Yet Tom remained composed, throwing dangerous combinations and even mixing in techniques fans hadn't seen from him before. Cormier mentioned that he saw Tom throw a high kick for the first time in his UFC career, something he'd never needed to do in previous fights because of how dominant he usually is. It showed a new layer to Tom's striking game, and according to Daniel, that's what made this matchup so intriguing. Cormier went on to explain that fighters often only reveal their full arsenal when faced with an opponent who can truly push them to their limits. Ciryl Gane did exactly that. His movement, timing, and defensive awareness forced Tom to dig deeper, to wrestle more, kick more, and adapt in real time. Cormier said this fight was shaping up to be something special. Two elite heavyweights bringing out the absolute best in each other. Unfortunately, the eye poke changed everything. Cormier admitted that Ciryl looked more prepared and sharper than he's been in a long time, possibly even the best version of himself since his earlier title runs. It was disappointing to see it end the way it did, especially when both fighters were just getting started. For Daniel Cormier, this fight could have been one of the most defining moments in Tom Aspinall's career, showing the depth of his skills against one of the most technically gifted heavyweights in the world. Moving on to another news, Bisping has come to the defense of Tom Aspinall after the heavyweight champion faced a wave of criticism from fans for not continuing to fight at UFC. After suffering multiple eye pokes from Ciryl Gane, Tom told officials he couldn't see, leading to the bout being stopped and ruled a no contest. Many online questioned whether he could have pushed through, but Bisping was quick to shut down that kind of talk. Speaking from personal experience and getting brutally honest about his own career, Bisping admitted that he himself fought for years while being blind in one eye, something that, in hindsight, he said he should have never done. He explained that Tom's situation was serious, and that the damage he suffered wasn't a minor scratch or a light graze. They were real, deep eye pokes that clearly left him in tremendous pain. It wasn't like a little scratch, Bisping said. They went in. They were proper eye pokes. Tom was in a lot of pain. He went on to address the criticism that Tom shouldn't have verbally said, "I can't see." Bisping defended Tom's honesty, saying that telling the truth in that situation was the right thing to do. "If you can't see, you say you can't see," he explained. "When I fought with one eye, that was a secret because I shouldn't have been fighting. Tom is the world champion. He has nothing to prove by pretending he's fine when his vision is gone." Bisping pointed out that Tom was in a dangerous spot, fighting an opponent as skilled and technical as Ciryl Gane. "Ciryl was on point tonight," he said. "He was looking sharp, landing clean shots, and we could all see the damage on Tom's face. It was not an easy fight by any stretch of the imagination." He added that Tom made the smart and responsible decision by not continuing with impaired vision, emphasizing that protecting one's health and career should always come first. Bisping also empathized with the crowd, acknowledging their frustration after spending money, traveling long distances, and expecting a thrilling main event. "The fans were upset, and I get it," he said. "They were frustrated because they came for a big fight and it ended like that. But their frustration wasn't really aimed at Tom. It was just disappointment with the situation." In the end, Bisping's defense of Tom Aspinall highlighted the human side of fighting, the reality that even the toughest champions have limits. His message was clear. Tom did nothing wrong by protecting himself, and no one should question his toughness or heart after such an unfortunate incident. Moving on to another news, Justin Gaethje has made it clear that his next fight will be whenever Ilia Topuria steps back into the octagon. Speaking confidently about his plans, Gaethje said he's ready and waiting for Ilia's next move. "My next fight, I'm planning on fighting whenever Ilia Topuria is fighting," he said. "I was hoping they'd let me fight him in January, but I can't really see that happening now." Gaethje expressed that the biggest question right now is when Ilia will be fighting again. "I don't know the answer to that," he admitted, "and I don't think anybody does except him and his team." Gaethje believes the best case scenario would be to book their fight on the highly anticipated White House card, which is shaping up to be one of the biggest events in UFC history. "I can't imagine why they wouldn't put that fight on that card," he said. "He's a champ, he's very popular, and I'm an American fighter who's just as deserving as anyone else in the lightweight division." Justin didn't hold back from reminding everyone about his reliability and track record as a fighter. "I've never not shown up for a fight," he said. "I've never let the UFC down, never failed them, and I've always been there for them." He emphasized that his consistency and willingness to step up in big moments make him more than deserving of this matchup. For Gaethje, fighting Ilia would not only be about competition, but also about representing his country on one of the most historic stages possible. "I expect to get that fight and represent the United States of America on the White House lawn," he said with conviction. As one of the most explosive and entertaining fighters in the sport, Justin Gaethje versus Ilia Topuria would be a clash of elite strikers, both known for their aggression and knockout power. Fans are already buzzing about the possibility, and Gaethje seems determined to make it happen. "Hell yeah," he said, closing his comments with trademark energy and confidence. Moving on to another news, tensions between Khamzat and Team Khabib have escalated after a heated back and forth involving Ikram Aliskerov. The drama unfolded when Khabib and his team were seen in full force supporting their teammate Ikram during his dominant performance against Junyang Park. The footage of Khabib's emotional reactions in the corner quickly went viral, showing him intensely responding to every strike and grappling exchange. After the fight, things took a sharp turn when Ikram addressed Khamzat directly, firing back at the comments Khamzat made earlier in the week. The situation began when Khamzat criticized Ikram in an interview that stirred controversy across the MMA community. Khamzat claimed there were double standards in the media, saying it's acceptable for Dagestani fighters to call him out. But when he calls out Dagestanis, it suddenly becomes a big issue. His remarks didn't sit well with Ikram, who decided to clear the air after his victory. He responded firmly, saying Khamzat completely misunderstood the situation. According to Ikram, the talk about a rematch was taken out of context. He made it clear that he's not chasing Khamzat or trying to set up a rematch at this stage of his career. Ikram explained that Khamzat is the champion now, and there are at least 20 fighters ranked above him in the division. To even reach Khamzat's level, he said he'd have to battle through a long list of contenders. He added that the idea of a rematch right now doesn't make sense, calling it straight-up nonsense. However, he didn't shy away from the idea of fighting for the belt. Ikram stated that if the opportunity came to challenge for the world title, it wouldn't matter who stood in front of him. Turning down a title shot would be something only a spineless fighter would do. He emphasized that in this sport, real fighters never duck an opportunity to fight for the crown, so while he'd definitely fight Khamzat if it were for the belt, it's not a personal call-out. Ikram said it was disappointing to hear Khamzat talk about him in such a way, especially since they've always shared mutual respect. He clarified that he never called Khamzat out or begged for a fight, and that this misunderstanding had been blown out of proportion by fans and the media, making the situation unnecessarily heated. The back and forth has only deepened the rift between Khamzat and the Dagestani camp, with many seeing it as a sign of growing tension between the two sides. Despite the friction, both fighters continue to move forward with their careers. Khamzat is expected to return to the octagon against Nasruddin Imavov sometime in April or May, with Ramadan approaching beforehand. His team has confirmed he won't be fighting before then. All eyes are now on how this situation unfolds, as the rivalry between Khamzat and Team Khabib continues to spark major attention across the MMA world. Moving on to another news, UFC President Dana White has shown strong interest in running back the heavyweight clash between Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane after the controversial ending at UFC 321 during the post-fight press conference. Dana made it clear that the rematch will happen as soon as possible, likely around January or February, just in time for the new Paramount broadcast deal to kick in. It's a perfect way to start the year with a massive heavyweight title fight, especially one that ended on unfinished business. Fans around the world have been calling for this rematch, and Dana seems ready to deliver it once Tom is medically cleared to return. While the UFC is preparing to rebook Aspinall versus Gane, there's already major buzz in Russia surrounding another heavyweight matchup that could shake up the division. Reports and speculation among Russian pundits suggest that Alexander Volkov may face Sergey Pavlovich next, a rematch that has caught the attention of fight fans across the region. Both fighters are among Russia's most dangerous heavyweights, and a second meeting between them could easily determine the next contender for the title. Volkov has been on the verge of title contention for some time, and having already shared the octagon with both Aspinall and Gane, he knows exactly what it takes to reach championship level. A rematch with Pavlovich would be a high-stakes battle and a defining moment for Russian MMA. When Dana was asked about UFC 321's main event, he admitted that it was a great showing, but a shitty ending. He explained that after the Jon Jones fight, many people had written off Ciryl Gane, but his performance at UFC 321 proved he's still among the elite in the heavyweight division. Dana praised Gane for looking sharp and composed, showing that he's far from done. When asked if the UFC plans to rebook the fight as soon as possible, Dana responded with a laugh, calling it a total pain in the ass, but confirmed that yes, it will happen once Tom is ready to return. He went on to say that while it's unfortunate how the fight ended, there will now be even more interest in the rematch after fans saw Gane pushing forward and having Tom bloodied up before the stoppage. Dana mentioned that Tom didn't want to continue after sustaining damage, which only adds more fuel to the rivalry. He confirmed that Aspinall was taken to the hospital immediately after the bout for medical evaluation, with updates expected soon, with Aspinall recovering scoring and Gane back in top form, the heavyweight division is once again heating up. Between the potential Volkov versus Pavlovich rematch in Russia and the highly anticipated Aspinall versus Gane 2, likely set for early next year, the UFC heavyweight scene is gearing up for an explosive start to 2025. That's it from MMA Pulse News. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for daily MMA news.